Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Corbin Murakami. I'm the product manager for Liferay Commerce. As some of you may know, Liferay Commerce is built right here in Italy. And so it's my distinct pleasure to sort of speak to you as someone would in a homecoming or speaking to a home crowd. So it's really an honor to be here in Italy talking about Liferay Commerce. Today, my message is quite simple. It's to say that the experience matters. And in some contexts, this is pretty self-evident. It's easy to see that the experience really matters. Like, for instance, when we go to a restaurant. Now, this is a picture I took a few months ago at a restaurant here in Italy, and you can see the food is part of the restaurant experience, obviously. And you might argue that it's the center of what you do when you go to a restaurant. But there's so much more than just the food that goes into an entire restaurant experience, right? What you don't see when you just focus on this food is everything surrounding it. In this case, surrounding it was Puglia. And so this is a restaurant right on the coast of Puglia. And when you're sitting there at the restaurant eating your meal, this is the view that you get. And so this is a picture, an animated picture that I took of our view as we were sitting down enjoying this meal together as the Liferay Commerce and Liferay Italy team. So not only is it the food that a restaurant provides, but it's also the wait staff. It's how attentive they are. It's how friendly and quick they are at responding to your needs. It's about the ambiance. What's the environment like? Where are you sitting? What can you see from there? And it's also the people that you're with, right, that contributes to the overall restaurant experience. And we can see that in a restaurant, it's not just the product, but it's also all of the surrounding services that play into how much you enjoy it. In this case, as I said, we were all together as Liferay Italy. And so it was a great experience, not only the food, but also the service and the people that we're with. And that really makes a difference on whether it's a positive experience or maybe a negative experience. Okay, but in other contexts, it might not be so clear that the experience matters. For example, if you're a drug manufacturer, does the experience really matter? Food distribution, does the experience matter? Or if you sell auto parts or industrial gas, some might argue that some of these products are commodities. And at that point, how much does the customer experience really matter? Today, I'm here to say that the experience does matter in these cases, and in a lot of cases, it could be the difference between 17% growth and 3% growth. So a roadmap for today is 1, making the case for why experience matters in commerce. 2, assuming that it does matter, what does it mean to actually provide a good customer experience in our view? And 3, we're going to talk about Liferay Commerce and how we've designed it to really provide a good customer experience. We're going to talk about the problems that we're solving today, as well as looking into the future and casting a vision of what we see Liferay Commerce solving in the future. So, does the customer experience really matter? To set the stage, I want to take it back and give you a high-level view of why we think it matters. And that really comes down to 2 things that have changed in the B2B commerce world in the last decade. The first of which is the rise of the internet, which has created price transparency, combined with globalization. And those 2 factors mean that now it's really a buyer's market. The buyer has all the control in the buying process. What that means for you, if you're a distributor, manufacturer, any type of B2B business, is that your margins are probably eroding. Products are no longer differentiated for as long as they used to be. So what does that really leave as a B2B business if you no longer have the control in the buying process? Well, this is the context in which a lot of B2B e-commerce projects have started. How do we cut costs? How do we hedge this erosion by cutting costs? And there's nothing inherently wrong, per se, about having the goal of cutting your costs. There's nothing wrong about that, and that's not the message we want to send. But when cutting costs is the only goal, when the only measure of success is how much money you've saved with your project, two things happen. For one, your site ends up looking like this, right? And we've all seen sites that look like this. When your site looks like this and when it's not usable, you don't get the cost savings that you had hoped for because no one uses it. And you've ended up spending money on something that no one uses. But more importantly, you're missing out on a bigger opportunity because digital has really changed the way that things work, right? When you think about just cutting costs, you're missing out on the opportunity to create competitive advantages. When product differentiation no longer is something sustainable, the new battleground is customer experience. Forrester backs this up when they did a study about customer experience to see if it's just hype or whether there's actual value here. And so what they did is they took two companies from the same industry and they compared their performance over time. And they measured which ones were doing customer success well and which ones were doing customer experience poorly. And when they looked at all the data across multiple different industries, they found that the leaders in those industries tended to grow at rates of something like 17%, whereas the laggards in customer experience would only grow at 3%. And so the conclusion, if you look at this report, is that customer experience is the new battleground and that there's a path to growth with competing on customer experience. Walker Info did a similar study asking CEOs what's the best way to create differentiation. And what they found is that customer experience far outranks talent, product, and certainly pricing in this case. So, if you weren't convinced already, that's our case for why customer experience matters in 2019. Accepting that customer experience matters then begs the question, what does it actually look like? And how does it play out in our digital commerce projects today? So at Liferay, we've come up with a framework which involves 3 phases that build on top of each other, starting with laying a self-service foundation. The first step to providing a superior customer experience that's competitive advantage is at least meeting this, what we call self-service foundation, minimally viable product. So what does it mean to lay that self-service foundation? Well, it's what a lot of you probably have tried to do already. That's moving your customers from ordering through phone, fax, and email into ordering through the cheaper online channel. But where a lot of projects tend to go astray is by taking the concepts that work in a B2C context, in a retail context, as a personal shopper on Amazon, and trying to transform that one-to-one to a B2B context. But what we see is that B2B buyers have different needs than you as a consumer, and we need to recognize that. And so a lot of times, these foundational elements of what makes a good experience are not necessarily there or served properly in projects. So something like showing your orders to a customer seems simple enough. But where people go wrong is just showing the orders that are placed on the digital channel to their customers, as opposed to also all of the orders that are placed on any channel. Are you doing that today? Making sure that you're showing the right pricing, which seems, again, simple enough until you realize that all of your customers might have different pricing depending on their contracts. And how do you show the right pricing to the right person? Or how do you show the exact products that they're entitled to purchase? And things like automatic restocks, actually making it easy for buyers who are just going in for replenishments to very quickly check out a new order. At the end of the day, your buyers want a frictionless experience. They want to come into your website, they want to make their order, and get out as soon as possible. And that's the bare minimum for a self-service experience. So when we talk about self-service, a lot of companies run into this issue of we want to transition our customers to self-service, but we run into problems because our existing sales channel sees this as a threat. Or we've created this self-service experience and it's great, but our traditional channel is completely disconnected from it. And so at Liferay, we see part of the self-service experience being very much connected to how you already do business today, because we don't think that the traditional sales rep is ever going to leave the B2B buying experience. So how does that play out together? Well, there's obviously a relationship between the two. And the way you should be thinking about it is every customer that I'm able to move to the self-service experience is not necessarily moving. You're just changing the nature of what they do, what they used to do with their traditional sales rep to now doing it online. So instead of doing mundane tasks, your sales reps can now focus on higher value interactions. So when you do this right and you move some of that work away from the traditional sales rep to the digital channel, the traditional sales rep has more time to do higher value interactions. When you do this wrong, this circle works in the opposite direction, right? If you're not able to provide a good self-service experience, that creates even more work for the traditional sales rep. And now they're not only doing the work they were doing before, but they're also managing the issues that the customer has online. And so there's a real strong relationship between those two. Now, once you've laid down a self-service foundation, then it's time to build on top of that with your differentiation. And we call this essential value. And really the question you have to ask yourself when you're building out this layer of essential value is, how do I help my buyer make the right buying decisions? This comes down to mean giving them confidence in their purchasing decisions. When they come to your site, obviously they should have accurate search, so they're able to filter through all your entire catalog, find exactly what they need as quickly and efficiently as possible. But that also comes down to product recommendations, and really the simplest thing, which is showing your buyers the right content that they need to see in order to make a good decision. So many companies go wrong today in not showing their buyers all the information about a product because that's locked in some other type of system. So we're working with an AV distributor in the US. They sell audio-visual equipment, and their customers are people who take those AV equipment and put them into large venues like this one, or like a sports stadium, or like a concert venue. And so their buyers have a lot of product information that they need to get at. But all of this information exists, but has not been easy for them to surface. So when someone like a service provider looks at all their distributors, they really want to go to the one that makes it easiest for them to do their job. So our customer realized that by putting all the product information right there in the commerce experience, so when they look for a product, they not only find the product specifications, they also find what products this is compatible with, they also find training videos, instruction manuals, knowledge-based articles that are related to those products, then that gives so much value to their buyers that regardless of price, they're going to choose that as their distributor. Because it not only makes their life easier, but it saves them time on their implementation, and that's real money that they can see. So content combined with the shopping experience is critically important to providing this type of essential value, giving people an understanding and confidence that they're buying the right products. Once you've provided that essential value, then we talk about unexpected value. And we don't expect every company to be able to do this, because this is when you truly embrace the benefits of digital and are able to turn this into a competitive advantage. But unexpected value means you're actually using your commerce experience, everything that you're building in your customer portal, to create a meaningful impact on their business. And the best way to illustrate this is talking about an example of US Foods. Now, they're not a Liferay customer, but they've been talking about a lot about how they're creating this new set of services which augment what they already do in the products they sell. So their food distributor, meaning their customers are restaurants, catering businesses, hotels, and all of these customers have the similar problem of how profitable is my menu? And that's an easy problem to solve, but it takes a lot of effort. You need to know how much your material costs, you need to know how much you're selling a menu item for, and you need to do the math to find out which of your menu items are profitable versus unprofitable. What US Food realized is they already have half that equation. They know how much their customers are buying, and they know how much it's costing their customers because they're their vendor. And using that data, combined with the restaurant inputting how much their menu items cost, they're able to actually calculate margin profitability for their customers. So they developed this tool, a very simple tool that does exactly that. You as a customer log in, you you assign which products US Food sells to different menu items, you tell them how much it costs, and then it generates a report. This is great because it saves time and money to understand which is profitable, unprofitable, but even more than that, as a restaurateur, you can use this while you're developing your new menu. You can add products from US Foods into a menu item and see how it's going to impact your bottom line over time, and you can adjust accordingly. So when US Foods talks about this, they talk about it in this way. They say, we have this data already, but it's not being used for anything per se for our customers. What we realized, though, is we could provide this service for free to our customers, and now we become essential to the way that they run their business. Now we're not just their food distributor, but we're helping them make intelligent choices about how to run their business well. And when you do that, you're becoming essential, and you're no longer just competing on price. So if a low-cost competitor comes in and tries to take a US Food customer, their customer is going to say, do I really want to give up this tool and these set of insights that help me run my business well, along with my food distributor? And that's what we mean by essential value. So, we've talked about the importance of customer experience and what we think a good customer experience looks like in today's day and age. Now let's talk details, implementation. And so to talk details, we have to ask ourselves, what's wrong with current commerce platforms, right? Well, for one, they've been very good at managing the commerce experience itself, showing a product catalog, managing the order, managing the checkout process. But as we've seen, so much of what we call commerce is much more than just those experiences, right? Today's day and age, to compete, you need to not only do that, but you need to have a way to attract your customers, and you need a way, certainly, to service those customers over the long term, retain them and grow those accounts over time. And so traditionally, you would have to integrate a CMS platform with your commerce platform with your portal platform. Now with Liferay Commerce, this is different. Liferay Commerce is the only commerce platform which is completely natively integrated into a digital experience platform. We didn't take another existing software and integrate it, tape it together, and make it look like a cohesive suite. This is natively integrated with Liferay DXP. What does that mean? It means on a technical level, you're working with homogeneous technology, right? And there's benefits there, obviously. You can leverage the work that you're doing in one part of the experience and also reuse those components, use them in other parts of the experience. But the ultimate benefit as someone who uses Liferay Commerce is that you have a consistent customer experience from when someone first looks at your marketing site to when they submit an inquiry form, to when that inquiry form ultimately leads to an onboarding process, when they do their first order, back all the way down until they have that self-service experience and are working with your support staff. All of that is being supported by a single platform. And you can bring that data that you're gathering about the customer from that point number one all the way down the line and start leveraging that data to make better customer experiences over time. Everything that they're doing on your website can be used to make better personalization, segmentation, product recommendations over time, and a better self-service experience. And that's the true value that we see in this approach. So, Liferay Commerce obviously is a B2B first platform, which means that we're tackling the complexity and the B2B specific requirements that you need in order to effectively do B2B commerce. Secondly, we're designed to reduce time to market. As Brian talked about, we as Liferay are doing more in this respect in order to not just provide you a horizontal platform, but out-of-the-box solutions that help you solve the business problems that you're trying to solve from day one. And number three, because it is Liferay, obviously we're designed for integration, and this becomes even more important in a digital commerce context where everyone expects the B2B portal to be the center of all of your systems, whether that's ERP, CRM, or OMS. So now that we've talked a bit about Liferay Commerce at a high-level overview, I want to cast a vision of how the features that we've built in the last 2 years really address this vision that we're casting. So we're not going to do a deep dive. There is a deep dive later today, but I want to map exactly what's been built to how you create a competitive advantage. And it starts with building that self-service foundation. With Liferay Commerce, we've built out a lot of features with this idea that you should be able to take Liferay Commerce off the shelf with minor customizations, bring all of your data into it, and be able to provide that self-service experience from day one. So that includes the support for B2B accounts, support for purchasing workflows, obviously, support for bulk pricing, multi-currency, multi-catalog support. All of this is in this vision of you shouldn't have to spend a lot of time customizing Liferay Commerce to get to value. On top of that, we provide accelerators, and we're going to provide more and more accelerators to get you to market faster. And part of the design of this mini accelerator that you're seeing here is providing that quick and efficient self-service experience, which means that as a B2B buyer, you're able to come in, find the products that you're looking for, and get out as soon as possible. Some of that is incorporating keyboard shortcuts for advanced users so that they can navigate the site much quicker. And the other part of that is the fact that Liferay Commerce is completely integrated with the existing Liferay search framework. So if you're a buyer and you make a search query, you're not only looking across the products, but also all of the related content. And other ways that we're making it quick and easy for your buyers to find what they're looking for is through something like an exploded parts view. Whereas an administrator, you can go in, simply drag and drop an image into the admin view, use that image, and start mapping it to individual products. So here you're seeing an administrator is clicking on a part of the picture. They are assigning that part of the picture to a number, and then assigning that number to a product. And now, as a buyer, it's so much quicker to find the products that you're looking for. All you simply need to do is open up that exploded parts view. You have the bill of materials on the right-hand side. And as you hover over each of these hotspots, you're able to see the products that are assigned to those parts of the view. So this is just one way that we're shipping this as part of our core offering in order to make it quick and efficient for your buyers to find exactly what they're looking for. One of the great things about Liferay Commerce is providing that essential value becomes a lot easier as well. When we talked about the importance of commerce having content so that your buyers know what to buy, you're able to do this because Liferay Commerce, again, is integrated. So all the site building features that are being released with Liferay 7.2 also support commerce experiences. So you can start to blend the line between what is traditionally provided by the CMS and traditionally provided by the commerce platform. So here you see the site building tools being used and just how simple it is to combine that with commerce experiences. And because it is Liferay, obviously you can bring in all of your self-service tools or build custom applications on top of Liferay in order to provide that self-service experience. Liferay Commerce is smart, and we've done a big investment in AI and ML in order to provide that. And so without getting into the specifics, which we'll go over in the deep dive of Liferay Commerce Recommenders, we just want to say that our approach is not to provide you a toolkit where you can do anything you want but have very little direction. But instead, with AI, we want to provide very specific recommenders for specific use cases so that you can show your business very quickly what the value of ML is to them. And then build on top of that as time goes on. So we are doing demand forecasting. That's both top of the line and bottom of the line. Above the line and below the line recommendations and forecasts, as well as something called low health alerts, where if a customer is purchasing less than expected, then we show that to the sales rep and tell them that you might want to look into this account. It might be at risk of churning. Talking again about that relationship between your sales reps and your digital channel. A lot of times those two are very separate sides of the house and they don't interact with each other, and that's why commerce projects fail. With Liferay Commerce, we've thought a lot about how to bring in the sales channel into the digital channel And so with Liferay Commerce, what you get is not just an experience for your buyers to go into, but also a site where your your sales channel can also log into and see all of the accounts that they manage. So when they go onto a customer site visit, they're not only able to see exactly what the customer sees, the right pricing, the right product availability, and generate an order on their behalf, but they can also have elevated permissions so that they can do even more. But all of this is being done in the same system, so they can see exactly what their customers are seeing. And using the rest of Liferay DXP, you can make this customer portal also the hub where all of your sales agents go to communicate with each other and collaborate. And so part of this, as well as we've developed a sales network management tool. So your sales agents can look at their organizational hierarchy, see which accounts are assigned to which sales reps, and do all of this very quickly. For those of you who know Liferay DXP, then this is a very familiar administrative experience. And all I want to say here is that because we're completely integrated, the administrative experience of commerce is very familiar to anyone who's used Liferay DXP. So that might mean that marketers can spend less time switching between systems and learning different systems, and more time doing what they're actually meant to do. And lastly, when we talk about integration, Liferay Commerce is built for integration, which means that we have a multi-channel architecture. The products live in this space so that they can be leveraged not just in your Liferay sites, but whatever selling channel that might be, whether it's a marketplace or a mobile app or an IoT use case. And the same REST APIs that are shared about with Liferay 7.2 are also the same APIs framework that we're using to build the commerce APIs. And so they're all clearly specified on Swagger Hub. We're building productized connectors to ERP like SAP ERP and Dynamics, as well as a connector to CRM like Salesforce. And we're providing the tooling that you need if you're using something like MuleSoft or Talend in order to more quickly create custom integration jobs. So this is how we as Liferay are building on top of our existing integration stories and making it stronger, even easier to integrate with Liferay. Looking forward to the future, we are an aggressive 6-month release cycle. So in the beginning of next year, we're planning to release Commerce 2.1. And in that, we want to make it easier for you to connect Liferay Commerce with the rest of your sales channels that you might have. Looking forward to Q3 of next year, we want to make it easier for mature organizations who have very mature needs in order to use Liferay Commerce to support things like better credit management, quote management. And finally, looking ahead to 2021, we want to better support complex use cases. So this is obviously a high-level overview. We have more content today to talk about Liferay Commerce, including a case study by one of our first Liferay Commerce customers, and also a deep dive later today, if you're interested. So in short, I just want to wrap up by saying that we truly believe that the experience matters, and this is the new battleground for B2B sellers today. And that it's no longer just good enough to provide a self-service foundation and think about commerce as a way to save money. You need to be thinking about how it really creates a competitive advantage for your business. And hopefully you've seen how Liferay Commerce, we've built things in order to support that vision and help you create your competitive advantage, and how in the future we're going to continue doubling down on that and making it easier and easier for you to compete on customer experience. And lastly, I just want to thank you as Liferay Italy, as our community here, for supporting us, whether you're a partner or whether you're a customer who's already engaged with us and talked to us about Liferay Commerce. And I want to recognize the hard work of the team here in Liferay Italy. So if you work on Liferay Commerce, would you mind standing up so you could be recognized by the audience today? I want to recognize the hard work of our engineers, our designers. Go ahead and give them a round of applause. So if you have any questions, go ahead and find one of them. Don't find me. No, if you have any questions, I'm going to be here throughout the day. So go ahead and find me. Go to our booth. Ask any of the staff about Liferay Commerce if you have questions. Looking forward to talking to you. Thank you so much.